Hi all, I have arguably one of the most crushing correspondence games ever played, and simultaneously one of the most instructive games for attacking the uncastled king. It's in celebration of a new fantastic version of the classic Art of Attack in chess. So this is now an online interactive course at Chessable. You can check out that link. And Ginger GM is presenting it as well, a fantastic attacking player in his own right. So there are many beautiful games in that book, and I'm just going to present one of them myself. Meesen was playing white against Hans Mueller. There is a bit of a mismatch here. If you go and research these players, Meesen's only got one recorded game, unfortunately, at chessgames.com. Hans Mueller does seem to be very, very strong in both over the board and correspondence. This is a 1928 correspondence game, apparently. So yeah, if you want to check out Hans Mueller, he even became an international master in 1950. That's a few years after this game. But in correspondence, he's won numerous tournaments. Well worth checking out his profile. Okay, so here we have c4 from Meesen. So Meesen's basically a casual player, and is bound to make small inaccuracies. Let's see though if we can spot them ourselves when we play through this game. So we have e5. Knight c3. This is very respectable so far. So we have 2 knights out, 3 knights out, and here it's called, very originally, it's called the English opening 4 knight system because there are 4 knights out. Nothing's severely gone wrong yet, one could argue. And in fact, d4 is played, and this is a reasonable move as well. E takes, knight takes d4, and now black plays bishop b4. There is a certain amount of controversy with white's next move here. Forcing moves sometimes to take is a mistake sometimes, as they say. That's a popular expression nowadays. And white actually took on c6. Does it actually help the opponent sometimes when you play a forcing move? Well, here it kind of doubles the pawns as well, so you might think, well, that's an upside. And you'd be right, it does have a a structural upside. The thing is, black doesn't have to take like this and have the exchange of queens. The middle game is still there with the queen still on with b takes, and it has given black a tiny little thing to play with, a tiny little bit of excitement actually, that this bishop is now liberated and able in fact to have a forcing move. And forcing moves really represent a downside of the opponent's position. Their very existence is that you can basically influence the opponent's position sometimes in awkward ways, in fact to their very destruction sometimes. So it has given black a little bit of something, this forcing move. And white is very, very casual here now with his king. Perhaps he should get on with things and play e3, which at least would address this slight concern. It would protect the c4 pawn. It's a bit passive, it would block in that bishop. But e4 is even worse because of knight takes e4, for example. So, but white plays g3. This is a little bit elaborate. The king is still in the center. And Hans Mueller, he doesn't play a routine move here, actually. I think he feels that, actually there's an emerging common square here. If the bishop's on that diagonal, maybe e2 is an issue. But also, yeah, if he castles routinely, maybe there's something which is to be punished here, and that won't address that. He actually plays queen e7. Now, in this position, funny enough, it has occurred in high-level games occasionally. Black has just castled and kind of let white off in a way. So, for example, Mueller against Makeyev, played in Moscow 2019, ended actually in a win for white, and white played this as a sort of dynamic pawn sacrifice. So black didn't actually take that, and white actually got a very nice position actually, eventually winning material here, just winning material after c takes, because that is and white went on to win. So it's not totally unplayable, or rather it has been played, this position, with higher level players later on. But in this particular game we see queen e7, and we have now bishop g2, And here, black uses his forcing move, bishop a6. It's kind of asking white to do something awkward. And white does something super awkward, actually. Perhaps the lesser evil move here is just to let this pawn go and just sacrifice it. Because there is the structural upside that white did create by doubling the pawns there. If it's treated as a positional pawn sacrifice, I think the win probability is going to be okay for white in general. I know it's a pawn down, but if you look at the structure, white doesn't have such a bad position to get on with things in a practical sense anyway. But it's not unideal to lose a pawn like that necessarily, unless you really want to play a positional pawn gambit. But white makes things quite bad actually. White actually plays a very awkward self-pinning move, which in general, it's a very, very bad idea to go into self-pins in general. And there's also, you know, tactically there's a pin here and technically there's a pin here. So if we start labeling these pins, actually, this is just a relative pin against the queen, but these are absolute pins. Okay, but you might ask, well, what's the big deal, queen d3? Well, here, let's start quizzing here for 200 points. What would you play with the black pieces in this position? So I'll give you 10 seconds to pause the video. Black to play. Okay, it's pretty logical. d5. And now white should really bail out. The minimal damage thing to do is just castle the king into safety. Just lose a pawn. Losing a pawn is not terminal. For example, queen c2. If it was a bullet game, you know, he could still play on, maybe win on time later. It doesn't matter. Black's got an advantage, but yeah, okay. But it's a correspondence game, and he doesn't want to sack this pawn. Okay, he plays actually a move b3, and it's, you know, maybe white just thinks he's going to castle here, and the structural damage should tell later. That's fine, but black has something up his sleeve here, so to speak. For 500 points now, this is a super fantastic dynamic move that's played in this position. Can you guess it if I give you 10 seconds to pause the video? Now, I'll give you a clue, actually, which is something about this. I like to tell my students about common squares. There is actually a common square potential on e2, by the way, in this position. You can see the bishop. Imagine these pieces weren't there. There is a common square if you imagine pieces are not there. And it's good to encourage imagination in chess, because we're not computers. Our strength is our imagination, I believe. So think about that e2 as a common square. How would you try and get to it? So black plays a super dynamic move here in the form of d4. This is super awkward. And at first you might think, well, hold on. Isn't this just terrible because bishop takes? Taking the rook? Well, white actually played queen takes d4. The thing is with bishop takes, king f8. And yes, this is an uncastled king, king f8. And for some reason, my king has decided to disappear from the chessboard. It's just reappeared. Anyway, okay, so king f8. Say white takes on a8. Then black plays bishop takes c3 check. And after bishop d2, bishop takes a1. Black is actually a whole bishop. Sorry, not a whole bishop. There's two bishops each. Black is actually a whole piece up, an extra knight. So that's no good at all. That's actually no good at all. So bishop takes c6 does white no favours. But anyway, queen takes d4 is played. But now, this is super awkward. Maybe white felt black can't do this for a specific reason. That white felt maybe he's going to be getting two pawns because maybe black's missed something after rook d8. White can play bishop takes c6 with a totally different reason now. Bishop takes c6. And white may have been banking on this next move, bishop d5. But the facts of the matter are, the king is still in the centre. There is a potential common square if you disregard the obstacles. So there's a little clue here. Something is up with the white position here in a devastating way. So can you guess one of two moves which are both absolutely crushing for black to play here if I give you 10 seconds to pause the video? Okay, if you said either rook takes d5 or even knight takes d5, they're both absolutely crushing. Rook takes d5, the game actually ended here. White resigned. Devastation, yeah. How many correspondence games with the white pieces end so quickly? The thing is, after c takes d5, that common square is really activated, the obstacle's taken away, and this knight, the power of the pinned pieces is illusionary, as Nimzovich says. It's not really controlling e2. So queen takes e2 is checkmate. And the same thing would occur on knight takes d5. You know, just to play this, is unveiling that common square e2. So a really crushing demonstration that white sometimes has to be careful doing anything too controversial when the king's still in the centre. It was drastically punished here. And you can get a really fantastic insight into this and loads of other games, by the way. Check out the Art of Attack in Chess course, Kingscrusher TV/Art of Attack. Grandmaster Simon Williams has gone over this and many other beautiful games. And so the Art of Attack is arranged in different configurations for, you know, attacking the king under different circumstances. So different attacking ideas. Vukovic who's the original author of the classic, you know, book before it was made into the fantastic interactive course. He edited the monthly chess magazine, Zahovsky Glaznik. It's a chess journal, the official periodical of the Yugoslavian Chess Federation. So, author of The Art of Attack in Chess, and it's widely regarded as a classic of chess literature. And I feel that's really fantastic when you can take a book classic, put it into a fantastic interactive platform like Chessball. So, and also add a really passionate attacking player's commentary as well on top of that. Ginger GM. So well worth checking out. Hope you do. And I hope you enjoyed this little presentation. Okay. Comments, questions, likes, shares, all appreciated. Thanks very much.